Okay, so since I know this will come up a lot, I decided it would be kind of fun to do a sort of head-to-head between the MetaQuest 3 and the Steam Frame, which is Valve's answer to VR in general that hasn't come out yet at the recording this, but if you look at the specs, looks pretty promising. Now let's start with the Meta Quest 3. Price we know is $499.99 for 512 gigabytes, basically $500 for the 3. I believe the 3S is a little bit cheaper, but when I focus on the 3, since the 3 is the quote unquote higher end model. Oh, and I guess I should mention that if you use a link in the description below to buy a MetaQuest 3 or use code TECH, not only does it support me and the channel, but you will get $30 in Quest cash, which is basically Intel credit, so you'll be able to buy like a game or 2 games or even a few games if you're lucky using that right away. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on. For power, it says advanced hardware stack in the first headset with a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 delivering double the GPU processing power for faster load times and more seamless gameplay compared to the Quest 2. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'll be honest, the Snapdragon, back in my day, the Snapdragon looked like in everything. So I'm assuming this is like a VR version of the Snapdragon. I assume the Steam Frame will have a similar thing, but I guess we'll see when we get to that. Stay tuned. Pass through. 2 RGB cameras with 18 ppd for 4.5x better pass-through resolution in full color, delivered high fidelity views of your surroundings while you see virtual objects appear in your physical space. You can technically see virtual objects appear in your physical space. Yeah, technically I can say that's true. As far as how clear it is, let's just say may vary based on user experience. Audio integrated stereo speakers with 3D spatial audio places you in space with 40% louder, your space with 40% louder audio range. I'll be honest, I do actually like the audio on the Quest 3 quite a bit because of the fact that, I don't know, it just adds that extra immersion. I feel like with just video alone, it wouldn't necessarily be completely immersive, but yeah. Anyway, DRAM, 18, that would be wild, 8 gigabytes of DRAM, I guess I should say, 33 more compared to the Quest 2. This is all comparing to the Quest 2 because the Quest 3 is the upgrade from the Quest 2. The Quest 3S is a side grade from the Quest 2. It basically had most of the updates of the Quest 3, but it doesn't have pancake lenses. But I guess we'll go over pancake lenses in a little bit. Let's continue on, shall we? Comfort, premium, slim, designed for balance, lightweight comfort. Strap design, soft, adjustable strap. I'm not going to say too much about this, but I am going to say definitely feel free to check out my video because my best accessory I own as of 2025 for the Meta Quest 3 is actually a head strap, okay? So feel free to check out that detail. Or rather that video. That's all I would say about that. Depth adjustment, easily adjust the facial interface closer or farther from your face. You can actually do that, and then there's even things that let you adjust it based on your eye farther away and closer. So I will say that's it. The headset weight 515 grams, and then it's a Quest 3 at 30% slimmer than Quest 2. I wonder if we'll get the numbers on the Steam frame. I guess we'll see, but I'm interested to see how much lighter it is or heavier it is. Resolution 2064 by 2208 rather pixels per eye, enhances resolution by merely 30% compared to the Quest 2 for nearly lifelike graphics, 4K plus, infinite display with 25 ppd and 1218 ppi brings the best resolution across the entire Quest line of devices. Refresh rate, refresh rate, it said that respectively 72 hertz, 90 hertz, and 120 hertz. I'll explain that a little bit, okay? Now, I believe some like super old games that were designed only for the Quest 2 might run at 72 hertz, but most of your games these days run at either 90 hertz or 120 hertz. You used to be able to decide if you wanted to run at 90 hertz or 120 hertz, but because of the frequent updates, basically they made it so if the game supports 120 hertz, it will run 120 hertz automatically type thing. There's a small explanation about that. 110 degrees horizontal and 96 degrees vertical. This extends your peripheral vision to let you see more of virtual worlds all at once for the most immersive experience yet. Optics, pancake lenses, increased sharpness by 25% in center FOV, that field of view, with significantly less strain or scatter light artifacts, which I can attest to because the Quest 3, the more premium model, uses the pancake lenses, but the Quest 2 uses the old lenses or rather the Quest 3S uses the same lenses that the Quest 2 uses, as far as I know. And then hit the adjustment and eye tracking not featured. It's funny that they even have eye tracking on here as a thing to say not featured. I know I didn't have to read the last part, but I just want to make sure you guys have all the specs. And with that said, let's move on to the Steam frame specs. Okay, here are the Steam frame specs. Okay. Now, it said specs with an asterisk because I'm assuming that subject to change a certain amount of details, because we do not know yet we don't know much about it yet, honestly. Hasn't been released. We don't even know the price yet. The price I would, I believe they said they won't try to keep it under $1,000. So knowing them, it would probably be like maybe $600 to $800. I don't know, but let's go on with what we do know. Okay, processor for NM Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 architecture ARM64. Now I'm assuming because if this is a is a Steam frame, Steam is in the name. Valve is the company behind Steam, in case you're wondering. That would mean that presumably this is running Linux, whereas the MetaQuest 3 that I showed you the specs for just earlier is running Android technically. So in theory, this would be running Linux. Again, I don't know for sure, but that's what it seems like. If it's going to run Steam, chances are it's going to run Linux like your Steam Deck does type deal. So, yeah, let's continue, shall we? RAM 16 gigabytes. Okay, okay. I like the sound of that. Makes it snappy. Storage, it says 256 gigabytes to 1 terabyte storage option. That's something they can easily do. How much will the 1 terabyte version cost? So if I had to, okay, so let's say if it's like around 800 for the 256 gig model, does that mean it's going to be like around 3,000 for the 1 terabyte model? Is that where we are? And it said micro SD card slot for expanded storage. Now I'm curious if it's going to be like one of their in-house micro SD card slots, or will you be able to use any? Because, and then on top of that, if you're able to use any, then my question becomes, can you load games off of the micro SD card? Because if you can use just any, wouldn't it be too slow? Because, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking into it too much. There's a lot of unknowns. So, yeah. Rechargeable 21.6 lithium battery. Okay. Lithium battery. Yeah, okay. One USB-C 2.0 port in the rear, which is right here. They show it nicely on the little diagram of sorts here. For charging and data, so it transfers data as well. Charge with USB Type-C, 45 watts. So I'm assuming it supports fast charging then. So that's interesting. Head strap include integrated dual audio drivers and a rechargeable battery on rear. Head strap weigh 245 grams. Core module can be separated from head strap for other head strap solutions. Okay, so they thought about that in case people don't necessarily like their personal head strap. So that's pretty cool. But I'm curious, how is that going to work? I mean, the USB Type-C cable is on the back. I don't know. I'm totally lost here, guys. I don't understand. I don't. Is there one in the front too? I don't know what's going on. Let's move on. Okay, if someone wants to explain to me, comment section below what they suspect is going on. Feel free to. I'm all ears. And then for display, we have 2160 by 2160 LCD per eye. That's interesting. 72 to 144 144 hertz refresh rate. 144 is experimental, so I assume in the beginning they'll probably start with 72, then gradually go to 90, 120, just like the MetaQuest did. But then eventually 144. That would be interesting because I feel like that's more aligned of what your average PC user is used to. And I feel like this headset is going to be aimed more at PC users, PC gamers, if you will. Gamers that like playing on high frame rate on PC. They come used to knowing that high frame rate stuff. Okay, moving on. Optics, custom pancake lenses, glass and non-glass optical elements, and large FOV up to 110 degrees. Okay. IPD target range 60 millimeter to 70 millimeter. Eyeglasses max width 140 millimeter. Now I'm going to assume that you'll be able to get prescription lens type things if you need to pop them on, much like you can with, well, most VR headsets these days. You can actually just pop on some lenses and stuff. Apparently you can with the like Ray-Bans and whatnot too, but I'm not really sure how that works. I really have no clue. If I ever get my hands on AR glasses, we'll figure it out together, guys. Stay tuned to the channel to see if I ever do. Okay, and then for cameras and tracking, inside out camera based tracking, cameras for outward facing, monochrome cameras for controller and headset tracking, two interior cameras for eye tracking. Oh, for eye tracking and okay. Wait, so this will have eye tracking then. Yeah, they basically confirmed it there, right? Pass-through, monochrome pass-through via outward-facing cameras. I wonder how the pass-through is going to be. Did they mention the quality of the cameras? Like, are they just cameras there, or I wonder. Maybe they'll tell later on. Okay, IR illuminated for tracking and pass-through in dark environments. Okay. IR as in infrared, I'm assuming. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Just so you know, IR, if this is the same IR I'm thinking of, it's the thing that TV remote typically use. Some of the Android tablets back in the day came with IR blasters, that they called them, because it was the thing at the time to make a device with a built-in IR thing, so you could use your Android device as a remote. This would be for smart TVs, okay? Really became a big thing. I'm really showing my age. Moving on. Connect expansion. Oh yeah, expansion first. Okay. User accessible front expansion port. Dual high-speed camera interface, 8 lanes, 2.5. Okay. PCIe Gen 4 interface, 1 lane. Okay, see, I don't know. That's seeming more and more like a computer now. Yeah. If we're talking PCIe lanes, we are talking computer. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Wi-Fi. Dual radios enable concurrent 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi and 6 gigahertz VR streaming. What? And they're using Wi-Fi 7? Don't don't a lot of places just use Wi-Fi 6 these days? They're using Wi-Fi 7? What? Okay, see, every feature I'm super surprised about makes me think that it's going to be more expensive. Okay, so forget that 800. I now think it's going to be 900, okay, for the lowest model. Well, because they said they want to try to keep it under 1,000. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be the 900 or 950 for the lowest of the low base model. If it hypothetically is that price, 900 or 950 for the base 256 gig model, is it something you'd still consider? Let me know, because I have a few more quote unquote reveals that aren't really much of a reveal at the end of the video. So look forward to that. Let's see, we already said the Wi-Fi 7. Wireless adapter included in the box. Wi-Fi 6E provide direct low latency link between headset and PC. So basically you don't have to worry about just your internet doing everything. Like basically as it stands right now with your typical VR headset, when you want to do wireless between PC and the headset, your internet ends up doing a lot of the heavy lifting for that wireless type link thing. But now they're saying that you'll be able to like have a dongle, I assume. I believe this is like a dongle situation where you could just plug the dongle into your computer, much like you would for a pair of wireless headphones or a wireless mouse or a wireless keyboard in some cases. So that's pretty cool. Bluetooth 5.3, 2.4 gigahertz dedicated link for stream frame controllers. Okay, so basically they are connected by Bluetooth. That's typical. That's a typical thing you'd see regularly. Now we have audio, okay. Audio door speaker drivers per ear integrated into head strap. Okay, see, that's the thing. Now I'm even more confused. They made it so you could change out the head strap if you want, it seems like, but they also put everything in the head strap at all as well. So it doesn't seem like something you can change out unless they come out with other models in the future that you can use. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so let's just continue. Dual microphone array. I'll probably mute the microphone if, I ever got this. I mute the microphone on the MetaQuest 3 as well because it has an internal microphone. I just don't use it. Size and weight. Okay, size 125 millimeters by 95 millimeters by 110 millimeters. Core module plus facial interface. And then weight, we're talking 440 grams for the core module with the head strap and 185 grams for the core module. Man, the head strap itself is so heavy compared to the core module. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Operating system Steam OS 3 ARC-based. So yeah, it should be a Linux-based system. Desktop KDE Plasma. I don't know a lot about Linux, if I'm being perfectly honest. I have a Steam Deck, but that's basically, I guess you could argue that's the only Linux device I have. Do you count the Steam Deck as me officially owning a Linux device? Let me know, comment section below. But yeah, this is actually not bad for spec wise. I actually think it looks pretty cool. Oh yeah, wait, we have a little bit more here. We have controller specs. Okay, I don't think I need to go over the full controller specs because they look the same as the MetaQuest 3 controllers, more or less. It seemed like they drew some inspiration from, I believe most VR controllers look like this, if I'm not mistaken. But this one had the Steam buttons on both sides. Wait, the D-pad. I'm not used to a D-pad being on a controller. We are used to the thumbsticks, the menu button, the view button. I wonder what the view button is all about. But yeah, we're used to this style of button, but on both. There's going to be a D-pad as well. Well, I guess because technically you could play regular games on here as well in theory. According to what we explored about this the other day in another video, you can play VR games and not VR games from your Steam library. So that's cool. It's cool. Now, I said that far as we explored, that's what I think. I'm not confirming anything or denying anything. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, we went through all of this, the ABXY button, D-pad, mechanic. Oh, okay. Full-side magnetic thumbsticks with capacitive touch, left and right analog trigger, left and right bumpers. Do we have? No, I don't think we actually have bumpers on the MetaQuest 3 thumbsticks. Well, because the MetaQuest 3 was made solely for VR AR shenanigans, not necessarily non-VR AR shenanigans. So, yeah, that's worth noting with that. And I'm assuming if you rather use like a console controller or something, any Bluetooth controller should probably connect to it. I don't see why it wouldn't be able to connect via Bluetooth. And that's about everything. Definitely let me know. Are you interested in the Steam frame, or are you thinking about getting a MetaQuest 3? Because I feel like they're for two different audiences, okay? I feel like the MetaQuest 3 is more for your whole meta shenanigan. Like if you have a bunch of meta games, or you just want like it's cheaper, go with the flow type, just in like actual standalone in headset experience, then the meta the way to go. But with that, the Steam frame did mention that you can also do a standalone experience with it. In my other video I covered, I tell all about that because that's what it shows. But with that said, people that would benefit more from a Steam Deck or a Steam frame rather are people that have like a back catalog on the Steam store, like a big catalog of games, and more than that, big catalog of VR games. In theory, you could also have non-VR games, because those should be able to be played on this as well. But I feel like most people would just play their non-VR PC games on their PC. So, yeah, that's always a thing. There are some exceptions, of course. So, yeah, I guess it just depends which place, which ecosystem you're better being in, or whether you would prefer to be in. I mean, SteamOS on this means you will be able to play Steam just about everywhere, I guess. So you'll be able to go in your headset, play it, and then if you wanted to, you could go to your Steam Deck if you own one and play it. Speaking of the Steam Deck, I actually have another video where I actually connected the Steam Deck to the MetaQuest 3 so I could play my Steam Deck while using the big screen on the MetaQuest 3. It actually was a lot cooler than I thought it would be. But with that said, I am going to end it off here. Let me know your thoughts, comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the future. Later.